Hello, 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 hello. How's it going, people? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to Friday, the 30th of May. We are almost there. We are almost there, basically, regarding the fact that transfer window is almost open because this Sunday, on the June of 1st, that sounded weird, the transfer window opens. And of course, regarding Arsenal, the transfer business is, you could arguably say, heating up because there are talks about Sesko, which we're gonna get into today's stream. We're gonna talk about Gabriel's new contract because it looks like that's gonna be under wraps and gonna be announced soon. Same goes for Marquinhos. Remember him? No, not the center back from PSG, from that right wing spot. Remember that one at Arsenal? It looks like he has left the club to Cruzeiro. So we're gonna touch a bit on that as well. But also one of the biggest things we're gonna talk about today is this: is Berta under the pressure? Because this is a bit weird, and we're gonna look at it from different angles, talk regarding the transfers that have been made, the links that we are having, and Andrea Berta's position at Arsenal in general, because currently it is looking a bit iffy, I'm not gonna lie. So we're definitely gonna talk about that, and we're gonna do some comparisons, obviously. We're gonna do some stat comparisons more specifically. Obviously, I pay attention to stats, but I don't use it as the main metric to judge the player by, obviously. But at the same time, we cannot ignore them to a certain extent. So we're going to look at stats and we're going to compare basically. We're going to compare Sesko to Havertz, to Merino even to some extent. We're going to maybe try and compare him to Gyökeres, maybe also Mika Biereth and all these guys, just to see and compare what everything is all about. But just before we get into things, smash the like button if you haven't already. It takes a second, please do it, helps the stream a lot, of course, as well. Subscribe if you're new around here, if you enjoy the content and want to stay around. We are aiming for 600 as soon as possible and 1000, the big 1K, just before the season begins. The next season, 25-26 Premier League season kicks off. And of course, if you have any things you want to discuss specifically, leave them in the live chat so we can tackle them, we can discuss them, or if you just want to share information around of your thoughts. So what we're gonna kick things off today is Gabriel Magalhães. Obviously, Gabriel Magalhães in the last year and a half, maybe a bit more, in my opinion, he has been the best defender in our team. Obviously, our center-back pairing of Saliba and Gabriel is arguably one of the best in the world as a duo. If we single out one player, it's a bit different story. But as a duo, it definitely is one of the best and one of the most solid ones, which obviously our defensive record is showing that in multiple competitions, and everything is pointing in that direction. And obviously William Saliba is on what, about 200 grand a week, but Gabriel, since he signed his contract extension a few years ago, still to this day was on 100,000 pounds a week, which genuinely seems embarrassing. Let's just put it that way. For him arguably being one of our best players overall for some time, him only being on 100 grand a week, in my opinion, is quite embarrassing if you're an Arsenal Football Club. You're not rewarding the best players, especially since in the meantime, Odegaard has gone pay raise twice, and players like that, it's actually quite insane. And even if you add the players we have signed, like Calafiori, who is on 130, I think, Zinchenko is on 150, Tomiyasu is on 100, the same amount, and players like that who are all the time injured or who do not perform to their standards, who are on much higher wages. Definitely, it is a bit embarrassing, and it's also very shameful and not the best of looks. Let's just put it that way. So finally, just finally, it looks like Arsenal are starting and gonna reward one of the best players in the team with some money, finally. According to Fabrizio Romano, the deal is on the verge of reaching an agreement over a long-term deal. Negotiations are advanced, and they understand that the deal is gonna be till 2030. Obviously, his contract runs out in 2027, and they want an extension. Obviously, it will come with some nice pay rise. Let's just put it as it is. And quite a few Arsenal players actually have the contract length till 2027 or 2028. Mostly by 2027 is the year when also Mikel Arteta's contract runs out, the latest one, which gives him 15 million a year, by the way. Also runs out, it's for Saliba, Gabriel, Saka. Quite a few of our big players have the same amount of length in terms of a contract. And it looks like this summer, Arsenal are quite focusing on extending that. Because they are looking at extending Saka, they're looking at extending Saliba if possible. Obviously, they're looking at giving now, as we are talking about right now, looking at Gabriel. And it looks like also Ranieri and Skelly are set for a very nice pay raise regarding the fact that they are basically, each of them is like $3,000 a week or $6,000 a week or something like that. It looks like they're also set for a proper pay raise up to what I believe will be about 60-70 grand a week, which obviously is very steep. At the same time, you could say it's deserved. Obviously, Skelly has played for less than a year as a left back, but he has proven already his qualities, so that is definitely deserved. Ranieri as well, let's be real, he comes on off the bench, plays microwave minutes, and he still does better than most of the players we have had on the pitch for the full 90. So definitely those two guys are massive talents, the latest ones out of Hale End. Obviously, next one arguably will be Max Daumann, but they have proven themselves to some extent. And there is hope that they will sign a long-term extension, and obviously it will be very, 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 very good news for Arsenal. You could say also Mikel Arteta, Andrea Berta, and overall, of course, the future of the Arsenal Football Club in general. So, getting a new deal on Gabriel was one of those essential things, especially given the fact that last summer and the summer before, Saudis were sniffing around, I'm not gonna lie, so getting him on a proper deal, which gives them less leniency to actually lure him away, is actually some nice news to hear, especially given the certain circumstances that we are linked with quite a few players and we still haven't signed anyone. Let's see. Big up, Gavin. Hope you're doing well today. My bro. Hope everything's fine with you. Big up, Mike. Thank you for dropping by and everything. Hope you enjoyed the stream. And big up the big man, BBK Sports. Big up, big up, big up, big up. If you haven't already, go subscribe to BBK Sports. Top Arsenal fan, not a top Gunner, which is great. Does football streams videos, does NBA basketball streams and videos. If you all know that stuff, I think it's also boxing, if I'm not mistaken, as well, or MMA. If you are in all of that stuff, go definitely give him a sub. Yeah, good news for Gabriel, 100%, because for me, I was saying this for quite some time. He's on 100 grand a week. 100 grand for the longest time. His last extension was what? 3-4 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And he's still on the same 100 grand a week. Which, looking at the other salaries other different type of players are getting, I'm not gonna lie, it's quite embarrassing, to say the least, especially given that he is arguably the best defender currently in the team. In my opinion, for the last year and a half, he has been the best out of two between Saliba and Gabriel, and he has been the most solid and most reliable defender of them too. So that is actually massively fantastic. We should make him captain. I totally agree. Gabriel or Rice? I'm leaning towards Gabriel, obviously. It might obviously be maybe a bit of an old school type of thing, because I liked my captain, let's just put it that way, my captain, to be a player who is at the back, who can oversee the whole pitch, how the things are developing and what things need to be adjusted and changed, and who can pick up the team spirits. Like Gabriel, with his fighting spirit and everything, definitely screams that for me, right? And like I have grown up on captains like Cannavaro, Maldini, Baresi, Puyol, Sergio Ramos, players like that. All of them have been defenders, and they are arguably some of the best players in the world have ever seen, defensively definitely. And in some way, shape or form, they have shaped the football defensive lines in general and footballing on its own. So definitely Gabriel, definitely in my opinion, would be one of the main guys. Obviously, there is still some weird talks about the fact that his English still hasn't developed as much, in my opinion. Not in my opinion, I've read that, which is quite weird given how long he's been at Arsenal, right? For 4 years. It's quite nuts that his English is still a bit underdeveloped. It sounds mad when I say this, but hey, it is what it is in that regard. Should have sacked his agent. And to be honest, well, for 100 grand a week for 3 years, definitely. Definitely. Exactly, show him the money. And I expect him, since he's on 100 right now, given that he hasn't had 2 or 3 contract extensions compared to Odegaard or players like that, I can see him going to like 230, 240 maybe even, something like that. And kind of cannot say also he doesn't deserve it. because he has deserved every single inch of that. Because on the biggest flaws in his game he had, the bozo gene, that has pretty much disappeared. And it's very nice to see some old school type of pitbull defender. I absolutely love that. Because these days everyone likes the big flair, the big touch, the cold bloody skill or step over, or like cold bloodiness like for example Saliba possesses. But to see that old school type of grit, what defender you used to see at least back in the day, and you can see that in Gabriel, which is absolutely fantastic for me. This is something I really enjoy watching, given how he does things, how hard he goes into tackles, and how he defends and how he covers lines. That is actually quite fantastic. Moving swiftly on, Victor Gyökeres. Here we go, Gyökeres or Sesko. It looks like it's going to be Sesko. We're going to get to that in a second. But despite Benjamin Sesko's contact and everything, Arsenal are still considering Victor Gyökeres. That's according to Fabrizio Romano. However, it is a bit rough news in that regard, given the fact that apparently Chelsea have joined Juventus in making a formal inquiry with Sporting over the signing of Victor Gyökeres, who is already wanted by Arsenal, which is quite nuts. I'm not gonna lie. Arsenal are in for two strikers. That is the big thing. But the big news of the day is this. Big news for Arsenal. This is the Saka backup we used to have. Remember this guy, Marquinhos, scored a goal against Zurich, cried his eyes out, and has done nothing ever since. It's over apparently between Arsenal and Marquinhos, as Brazilian winger joins Cruzeiro on permanent deal till 2028. Good luck to him in his career, I'm not gonna lie. Good luck to him in his career. I'm not gonna lie. Now, this is a weird one. This is genuinely a weird one, which made me laugh quite heavily. But it is what it is. Real Madrid are keeping an eye on Miles Lewis-Skelly. They were very impressed with him when they faced Arsenal in the Champions League. Skelly's contract currently expires in June of 2026, well, basically in a year, which overall would spell some troubles, but let's not forget, it's been widely reported and pretty much it's also confirmed to maybe some extent that Miles Lewis-Skelly is set for a new contract this summer. How much he will get, obviously it's still under the wraps, nobody knows, but it looks like he might get a new deal till 2029 or 2030. So these news, yes, it's a bit worrying because when Real Madrid come knocking, it's a completely different type of knock. At the same time, Arsenal will do the right thing and they will extend his deal. And I don't think actually Wanjeri himself, sorry, Wanjeri himself would want to leave Arsenal. Let's just put it that way. Anyways, big up AJ. Big up AJ. Hope you're doing well today. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Huge congrats on 576 subs. Big up everyone. Big up to you, AJ. Big up to everyone who has subscribed, who has liked. If you haven't already, by the way, please like the stream and subscribe if you're new around here. Road to 600, and of course the big 1K is going strong. So big up to everyone. Without you, nothing of this is impossible because I enjoy doing this. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy doing this. At the same time, it's very nice to see that people enjoy what I do, because there are two levels of this. You're doing it for yourself because you love it, which I love, let's be real, and to see that also it resonates with other people and people enjoy watching, that is a very, very nice extra level and extra bonus added to that. So big up to you guys. Big up to you. Anyhow, let's go to the big talk. The big talk. Big talk. Here we go. Benjamin Sesko. Now, let's go in chronological order as it was reported today. Apparently, Arsenal have began the negotiations with RB Leipzig regarding the transfer fee for Benjamin Sesko. Leipzig are not insisting on his 80 million euro lease clauses, which is about what, 72, 71 million, something odd like that, and are open to other payment structures, right? However, that option would then exceed the 80 million fee, which basically, by the looks of things, means if Arsenal pay, let's just say 70 million, they can get him right away. But if they want to pay in installments, it will be a bigger price, which to be honest stands a reason. It's like basically getting a loan and then you have to pay interest over an extended period of time. Let's just put it that way. It makes sense. Let's just say it as it is. But it didn't stop there. Didn't stop there after all. Apparently Arsenal have an agreement with Benjamin Sesko on personal terms already. Apparently. The club is now negotiating with RB Leipzig regarding a fee for the player and want a quick resolution. Well, we have heard that one every single summer for every single signing. Hasn't happened yet, but hey. The reported 93 million fee is absolute nonsense, which is nice to hear, I'm not gonna lie, because yesterday when these news came out, whole fan base went absolutely berserk when they heard the price and that Arsenal are in talks and they're ready to pay that, allegedly, of course. Leipzig's starting price is way less, which is quite nice to see, even if we get him, and that comes out from Team News and Tickets. And it doesn't stop there. It genuinely doesn't stop there. And this is the biggest worry for me. Andrea Berta is in full agreement with Mikel Arteta. And I repeat, in full agreement that Benjamin Sesko should be Arsenal's priority at striker. There was never much of a disagreement, and Berta talking to Victor Gyökeres camp was simply to keep options open. This is again according to Team News and Tickets, which, bear with me here, you cannot take everything for granted what they say, and you cannot trust them overall, because all the ITKs, it's a very big gamble to trust them, because last summer he promised us a mystery German, still haven't seen him to this day. Let's just say it as it is. However, the biggest thing about all of that is the fact that it looks like Berta and Mikel Arteta are in sync. Which again now means that the reports saying that there is friction between Arteta and Berta, there are disagreements in the hierarchy. One wants Gyökeres, other one wants Sesko and everything. And all the narratives, obviously, to be honest, myself included to some extent, I'm not gonna lie, saying that if Arteta gets his way, what was the point in signing Berta? It's starting to become a massive reality. It's very interesting that Andrea Berta is in full agreement to sign Benjamin Sesko, and he's on one way together with Mikel Arteta, which is quite interesting to say the least. Because when Andrea Berta came in, I had full hopes that Mikel Arteta wouldn't have the final say on the signings, finally. Which means we could avoid signing more Marinos, more Kiviors, more Calafioris, more Fabio Vieiras, Pablo Maris, Williams, Marquinhos, and players like that. However, looking at this, it's actually the straight opposite. With Andrea Berta coming in, there is an argument to be made that nothing has changed. Mikel Arteta still gets what he wants. And obviously that was a big thing also before. It's obviously Mikel Arteta has said himself that he pretty much gets the final say on the signings. Right? So with Andrea Berta coming in, you would hope that something like that would change, because Andrea Berta didn't strike me as that kind of a guy. That he would actually take basically a step back and allow the other person do their thing. But now it looks like it is. And obviously, the biggest thing though of everything is we as fans watch Sesko and watch Gyökeres, right? Some watch games, some watch clips. That's a completely different story. Personally, what I have seen from Gyökeres, what I have seen from Sesko, at the moment, Gyökeres strikes me more as a win now type of player, obviously, and he has more developed game overall. However, Benjamin Sesko's ceiling arguably could be much higher. But not much, but it could be higher, right? And when you watch him play, you can see that, yes, he can score with both feet. Yes, he can jump high. He's 6'5", would be weird if he couldn't. He can score with his head. He can score with both feet and everything. He's very fast, very quick on the ball despite his height. The issue with him is personally for me, there are three things that very worry me about Benjamin Sesko. he's raw, right? He's unproven, he's still young. That's the first thing. Second of all, he has a tunnel vision. Obviously, that's one of the biggest flaws, arguably, as a striker you can have, when you just take the ball and just yeet it and shoot it and shoot it and shoot it with disregard about what's around you, what's surrounding you, right? At the same time, the way we play football, the way we don't take shots from outside the box, to some extent, might not be the worst thing. Let's just put it that way. And everything, right? And obviously, one of the biggest concerns, the way we play football. Because if we keep playing the same way we played this season, that will be the biggest flaw in our attack. Because Benjamin Sesko's passing is very questionable. Let's just put it that way. That is arguably, you could arguably make a strong point of the fact that that is his weakest attribute of the attributes he can have. Physicality is there, shooting is there, scoring, maybe in Bundesliga he can get 14, 13 goals, right? 2 seasons in a row, right? But ultimately, he hasn't basically lifted mountains, let's just put it that way. Appenda looks better in that team, Werner looked better, but obviously the way they create chances, you would think it would be very favorable for him to score more goals. But the biggest issue with Sesko is the passing. Because even if you look at Kai Havertz, how he plays at striker, lots of things involve him winning the long ball or holding up the possession and then distributing ball to the wings, to the midfield, however, to keep the attack flowing in the motion, or to many extents, which really pisses me off, recycling the ball. And that is the weakest part of Benjamin Sesko's game, which definitely will need lots of work if he wants to be out-and-out striker for Arsenal. At least the way we play, that's how I see it. At the same time, there is a bit of a... We'll play also a bit of a devil's advocate. We watch football with our eyes, obviously. Well, most of us do, maybe. Let's just put it that way, because somehow some people rate players that shouldn't be rated, right? At the same time, how to say this? Arsenal have insane amount of data on him. They have insane amount of scouting on him, 100%. Because otherwise we don't go for players. Let's just say it as it is. We have the stats, we have the clips, we have the videos, we have the games, we have watched the tapes and everything, right? So overall, you kind of have to look at this, right? You kind of have to look at this in a way that kind of have to trust them. At the same time, right? If you trust them and if it doesn't work, well, it's on you, isn't it? Right? Because you had all the tapes, all the money, you paid him, you played him, and it didn't work. It's all on you at the end of the day. But this signing Sesko, if we sign him, right? It's something similar like Mikel Arteta still staying here as an Arsenal manager. Do I want Arteta out? Yes. Will I scream it every single stream? I will not. Because it's pointless to some extent, because it gets boring and tiring no matter how you look at it. Right? Same goes for Sesko. Because we will have to wait and see, ultimately. But it is what it is. I'm kind of coming to amends with the fact that no matter what I'm gonna say, no matter how much I want, for example, Gyökeres over Sesko, no matter how much I want Osimhen over Sesko and players like that, if we get Sesko, we are stuck with him. We genuinely are stuck with him. And then this, as Lothar Matthäus described Sesko, right? He is Havertz with Werner's pace, which already strikes massive worries into my head, right? So if this doesn't work, it's something similar like Havertz to some extent, because it will be insane price tag. There will be expectations instantly, because we have been screaming for a striker since Aubameyang left, and this is what you provide us with. So he better bang, because if everything goes sour, oh, God help your soul, because the Arsenal fan base will be on your case big time. Obviously, top Gunners won't be, because they will say, oh, he needs time, he needs to adjust to the league, he needs this and he needs that, give patience and everything. Hence why you shouldn't sign a project striker in the first place, right? So, it's weird. It's genuinely weird. The biggest issue is, as an Arsenal fan, you kind of have to try and convince yourself to a certain extent to make amends and that this could work. You kind of have to try to hype yourself up and hope that this works, that this player isn't as bad as he actually potentially could be. That is the saddest part, because we never go for the big players. Think about it. We sign one maybe every 45 years. Like, that's the biggest issue here. But it is what it is, I guess, at the end of the day. I know I've been waffling a bit, but hopefully you got the point. Big up BX Gunner, hope you're doing well today, my bro. YouTube Sense, big up YouTube Senses. Okay, I have calmed down a little bit since yesterday. I obviously want Gyökeres over Sesko, same. But even Osimhen is way ahead of Sesko as a striker, 100%. Is Arteta getting bung like George Graham? I don't know. The thing is, Osimhen wants about 400 or 500 grand a week. Arsenal never gonna pay that, so he's off the table. Why Gyökeres, why we are not in for him, that is the biggest thing. That is the biggest question. But if this doesn't work, it's gonna go south real quick. Need both, or buy another forward. Yeah, get both, exactly. Big up views. Your favorite striker, you happy? I much rather have Maroun Shamah out of retirement at striker than this guy. I'm just putting it out there. And this is for views specifically. If you read this on the screen, big up views, by the way, right? Go subscribe to his channel, top guy and top content. Yesterday was on... Yesterday, yeah. No, Wednesday? Wednesday. On Wednesday was on his Under the Lens show, so go check it out as well. Freaking hell. The worrying thing is this. Andrea Berta is in full agreement with Mikel Arteta that Benjamin Sesko should be Arsenal's priority at striker. If they are in a full agreement, it's actually kind of nuts. Yeah, he scored. And Muslera had his last game as a Galatasaray player. Gyökeres was on Brighton's books. I kind of trust their judgment on player. Yeah, kinda, yeah. Obviously, he didn't lift mountains at Brighton because he was still too young. But ultimately, he has made something about his career. Big up, why not? Hope you're doing well. Marquinhos, Mendy, Rice not being enough for you. Big up Robert, by the way. I think Zubimendi is coming in as a 6. I think. He's not even coming as an 8. And the biggest thing is, Zubimendi can work at Arsenal if we play 4-2-3-1 double pivot. Then it could work. If we play him as a lone 6, it could get hairy, let's just put it that way. He's just Bert now, bro. Bert from Sesame Street, right? Bert from Sesame Street. Yeah, Berta wants Sesko too. What now? Nothing. I still want Gyökeres. Doesn't mean I have to agree with the decision. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we will have to wait and see what happens with at Arsenal. We will have to wait and see. If we sign him, we will have to wait and see. Ultimately, anyways. Yeah, you wanted Sesko, and big up to you. I don't want Sesko in that regard. As a double striker, yes. As a secondary striker. As a first one, not so much. But if Arsenal sign him, we'll have to make amends with that. Just the same as we have to make amends with the fact that Mikel Arteta, at least for and most likely at least till the end of this year, 2025, is not leaving Arsenal. We have to make amends with that as well. As loud as we want to say Arteta out and all this stuff. So if we sign, we will have to basically sit here and accept that. Yeah, big up everyone. Big up the chat. Big up everyone who's here. Big up everyone. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new around here. Road to 601k is going strong. Zubimendi plays lone 6. That's why he's being brought in. Rice will provide defensive engine next to him. Exactly. That's how it looks like. One of the things is that Arsenal obviously lack creativity from the deep end. Massively. From the midfield, we lack creativity like no tomorrow. I'm not talking about 10 specifically here, like Odegaard, which is an issue on itself. But I'm talking about 8 and 6 creating stuff, spreading the balls, deep line passes, through the ball passes, risky cutting the lines in between the line passes, and all this stuff. We are missing that quite heavily, and I think Zubimendi to some extent will be an answer to that. Personally, for me, double pivot I think would work better for Arsenal in 4-2-3-1. Obviously, we're not gonna play that, but time only will sell and see. Berta is just a company man now. Go on, Berta, complete the deal ASAP. Dude, if he signs him for about 90 million, that's gonna be nuts. One of the biggest worries I have with this is that there is a possibility he could turn into another Havertz situation. Okay, give me a second. Okay, let's do this. Let's go further. Berta needs to rescue the summer wingers and midfielders. That for me is also a thing. If we sign Sesko, we better goddamn sign someone like Rodrigo, or I don't know who else is big on the left wing. There's not that many good big left wingers for the left wing spot. 100%. We signed someone big. So that is the biggest thing here. We need to splash big on the wingers now, and midfield as well, extra. So time only will tell. The excuses have already been written. Yeah, 100%. That is the biggest thing. If he starts off slow, there will be portion of Arsenal's fan base that will say that he wasn't good enough. We told you so, and stuff like that to some extent, or that he needs to improve ASAP, or else it's curtains, or he's another Havertz that is another sword that Mikel Arteta probably will die on at the end of the day. Because Havertz still looks that way. Let's be real. And there will be the other part of fan base, aka Top Gunners, Arteta Sexuals, Arteta Only fans, that will say that he needs time, let's be patient, he needs 55 games to adjust to the system, oh, it's a new league, he needs to do this, he needs to do that, and everything. So it's a double-edged sword, no matter how you look at it, and at the end of the day, take it or leave it. And unfortunately, we have to accept it. It feels like being an Arsenal fan is like a social experiment. How much pain can a fan base endure until they're enough? Until they have had enough. And being an Arsenal fan is like being in a toxic relationship, right? You love the club, aka you love the girl. Everything's fantastic, right? You fell in love and everything. The beer goggles are gone, or your pink goggles, your in-love face goggles are gone. And all of a sudden, this is wrong, you need depths, this is wrong, excuses from ownership, excuses from manager, excuses from this, from that, from this, from that, and everything. Then you have your parents, aka Top Gunners, saying, oh, she's the nicest girl in the world, stay with her. Then you have a portion that your broskies who say, she's not good enough. It's a toxic, it's not good for you, aka the rats and Arteta out and all this stuff part. And basically that's what it is. And you want to leave, but you cannot, because that is something that has grown within you at the end of the day so deeply, that roots are so deep that it's something like it's irreplaceable. And you hope that one day you can sit down and work everything out and everything's gonna be fine again as it used to be when you just started dating. And that is the same for me with Arsenal. Like I'm not gonna walk away. I don't wanna walk away. And I hope that one day everything is gonna be fine and dandy, just at the time when I fell in love with the club in 2002. So, go figure. Please expand. What's the point of Berta if we are still getting Europa League players? Signing Sesko is not an excuse to not win a trophy. Stop writing still. That is the thing. But no matter how you look at it, you know that Top Gunners are gonna spin it that way. Because it's gonna happen. You already know it. Because it's a double-edged sword, because if he bangs, oh, we told you so, he's better than Gyökeres, you know nothing about, you don't know ball. If he doesn't work in the beginning, oh, he needs time, be patient, he needs to adjust to the league, to the system, it's a new thing and everything. Not to mention, if he pulls a hamstring in the first training and he goes injured for 3 months, don't even Don't even then. Sex, no excitement and always mad jam. Exactly. Toxic, boring and everything. You shut your door, you walk away, you calm down, and you come back. And that's with Arsenal. You are pissed off about the game because you win, draw, and everything, shit performance and everything. You slam the door, you walk away, you calm down. Next weekend, another game, you come back, and until certain point again, until everything blows up in your face. It's like that all the time with Arsenal. Unfortunately, in the recent, at least this season one specifically, and overall it's been like that for years. Yes, we have had wins, we have had good players, we have won an FA Cup and all this stuff, but ultimately, it's always been like that, hasn't it? Like at the end of the day, it's always been like that. Because transfer windows and everything, it's actually kind of nuts because it always pains. It's always a pain and everything, so go figure. 15 likes. Big up everyone who has liked. And if you haven't already, please like the stream. It takes a second, means generally costs nothing and helps a lot to spread the stream around and everything. And of course, on top of that, if you haven't already, please do me a favor. If you want, press that subscribe button. Berta, I know you are in the chat. You've seen the shortlist. Well, we'll see. We have seen the playbook, call me jaded. Yeah, we have seen it. And that's the worst part. The excuses from either side are gonna be the same every single year because those are the same excuses they use for every single new signing when it doesn't work out. It's like you've seen this film before, you didn't like the ending, but there's one part of the film you really like, so you watch the film once again. Boy, what you said is true. You also said even if he wins nothing next season, he's not getting sacked unless he loses. Yeah, that is the most likely thing. Unless we drop out of top 5 of Champions League, aka, he's still here. Most likely. Unless it goes very tits up, literally, by Christmas. Like, for example, it's Christmas, we are 4th, and we are 15 points behind the first place. Then I can see it every fan base are not gonna tolerate that. Because already, no excuses, you need to win a major and everything. I want to win FA Cups and Carabao Cups, don't get me wrong, because it's been 5 years since FA Cup, it's been 31 years since Carabao Cup. At the same time, at this stage, where Arsenal are right now, Carabao FA Cups are not enough. I need a major. Don't care how you do it, what you do it, but go get me a major. Premier League, Champions League. You can't, fuck off. Josh, yeah, that is the sad part. That is the sad part. Are we linked to wingers, not Rodrigo, and attacking midfielders, not the diagonal pass merchant Zubimendi? We are linked with Sane. We talked about it yesterday. We were linked with Leroy Sane. Does that tickle your pickle? No Diddy and stuff like that, but does that tickle your pickle? Where is it? See? Oh, fuck. Different tweet I need. Need to get rid of that one. Here we go. Wait, that's 2024. Never mind. I need the latest ones. Here we go. Leroy Sané and his camp exploring Premier League move. Arsenal and Spurs have made interest known and discussions are currently taking place. Sané wishes to review English offers before deciding on accepting Bayern's new offer. Current idea plus preference is to stay at Bayern Munich, of course, but family pushing to move to London. Oh, bloody hell. Talks to again take place this weekend. Isn't like Sané's girlfriend and his kid, don't they live in London and Sané plays in Germany, so he lives in Germany, and when he has time he flies to London to see them and then he flies back to Germany, something like that. But yeah, we are going for that one. One trophy from a possible 26 should never be acceptable label, but Arteta's in love with more than Arsenal. Exactly. One trophy from possible 26 is acceptable for smaller teams. But if our fan base want to walk around with their pigeon chest pushed out and say we are the Arsenal, third biggest team in England, based on trophies by the way, one of the biggest clubs in football, world football and everything, 1 in 26, you shouldn't be bragging about that. That definitely shows how bad we are, to a certain extent. Berta will be the trigger man. Doesn't look that way. Even if Berta wants to sack Arteta by December, I can see Josh Kroenke overruling him. Yeah, I can see that as well. I can see that just giving him time till the end of the season at least. Because then if you sack him, you have to pay, 15 million only one season? Why not? Would you take Rodrigo? Whatever the internal politics is, the one thing I know for sure is that Arteta has Josh on his side. Yeah, it looks that way. Because the last game of the season at St. Mary's, Josh and Arteta sitting next to each other, then there are 3 people gap, and then there's only Andrea Berta, which just shows that Josh and Arteta are in the same bed. Pause. Not like that, but you get what I mean. Leroy Sané, Manchester City rejects, no thank you. Exactly, but hey, it is what it is. If we sign Sané, it's dead. Might as well sign Sterling if we are signing Sané. True. The thing is though, I would take Sané as a secondary option, provided we sign a proper starting winger for the left side. Then I maybe would entertain the idea. As the main guy, no chance in hell whatsoever. Also, solely depends on the contract length, on the wages and everything. I don't know if Berta is the trigger man. He may have to call Mickey Fingers from The Soprano. Man, Sopranos, what a great show, you know. What a great show. Even if our class are the 5th biggest club, I'm sorry, 1 trophy. Exactly. It's not good enough. And it's never gonna be good enough. Think about it. Wenger had a 9-year trophy drought, right? We are halfway past it already. And Wenger didn't spend nearly half as much what Mikel Arteta has spent to have this 5-year trophy drought. Like, that already doesn't make sense, first of all. Second of all, it have no indications that Arteta will win something next season as well. So it's possible that we're gonna go 6 years and 1 in 30 potentially, as you're saying. Imagine that. That's the biggest issue with this fan base. Wenger said top 4 is like a trophy, and fan base have run with it. 2nd place league finish is like progress and all this crap. We are 3rd biggest team in England based on trophies. Trophies, the thing you lift and see the armpits and all that stuff. And Arsenal have done none of that in the last 5 years. And at some point, if we keep this up, we can get caught. And the worst part is United are one FA Cup away from us. Chelsea in the league this year finished 5 points behind us. 5 points behind us. The same Chelsea everyone laughs at, Arsenal fan base included, that they're a mess, Todd Bowley doesn't know what he's doing, and there's nothing. Yet they finished 5 points only behind us. Oh, but context, injuries, and all this stuff. Now shove it where the sun doesn't shine. First things first, we shouldn't be in such a position. Stay away from Picklemate. Big up, Eros. Big up, big up, big up. Hope you're doing well. Big up. I'm not even back. I get that. I totally get that. I would take a gamble on Sané over Martinelli or Trossard. I would. That for me is the thing. I would take Sané as a backup if he demands the acceptable, reasonable salary. Let's just put it that way. Unless he demands like 200, no thanks, no chance in hell, piss off to Spurs. Instantly. If he wants like 120, something like that, I could accept that. 150 maybe, but it also depends. I would take Sané potentially. Only potentially. I'm not saying I would, but I would potentially take him as a backup option, provided we sign a Rodrigo or someone like that for the left wing. Get me Semenyo before Sané. I can see that. I can see that. 2 of the 3 of the way. Yeah, 2/3 of the way. Yep, pretty much. Nice, isn't it? I would rather Visa from Brentford than Sané. To be honest, personally, I much rather sign Buemo and play him left wing than I get Sané. I'm gonna put it out there right now. But if we cannot get him and he goes to United, 2nd place is better than Europa League somehow. And the worst part is, 2nd place is better than Europa League, right? People say. Finishing out, just winning Europa League, first things first, gets you in Champions League. Let's not forget that. Winning Europa League gets you in the Champions League, so you get trophy either way. I'm not saying I want to be 17th in the league, but let's not forget, winning Champions League, Europa League, people say, oh, it's a league beneath Arsenal. They are acting like this right now. If we were in that Europa League final, you bet your sweet ass all of them would have their pants down to win that trophy so we can get back in Champions League and lift that trophy above our heads. Especially since what happened in Baku when we lost 4-1 to Chelsea. I would like Brian Mbeumo at Arsenal. I would too. I'm not gonna lie. I would too. Rodrigo for me is the best left winger on the planet and available. If we truly are still a big club, just do it, move on. Yeah, if we could, we should. That is the biggest thing. One of the biggest frustrating parts about Arsenal in the transfer windows is the fact that technically we are a big club. Well, we are a big club, right? As I said, I just keep banging this drum. Third biggest club in England, one of the biggest clubs in the world football. We can pay the money, we can pay the wages and do all this stuff. For once or twice, right, I would like us to be linked with a massive player just so we can throw our hat in there. Like for example, Berta on the market, right? Never in the conversation. When Mbappe moved to Real Madrid, it was a bit of a meme to some extent, but at least we were in that conversation. That was nice to see. Let's just put it that way. Because if we are this big club, as we want to claim, right? We need to back up with trophies first place. And second of all, when there is big business going in the transfer market, and it's a position we desperately need, more specifically, we should have our hat in the ring for a chance to get him. We should, but we never do. That is one of the biggest issues there. Risa is a good option, but I think if Partey leaves, I think Partey is signing a new deal. He's not leaving. We will need all the money available, approximately 100 million, to replace him. Well, Partey apparently has agreed a new deal. Or will agree a new deal in the coming days. Apparently the talks are going very well. Everyone's happy. They just need to iron out some smaller details. Apparently it's going very well. You know Lamine Camara. Why does that name sound familiar? It genuinely sounds familiar. He's from Senegal, yeah. Monaco? Yeah, Monaco. Yeah, Monaco. Yeah. I get it, Monaco. Yeah. Haven't seen him much. Cannot judge him whatsoever. But I get what you mean. Eros real and always supporting the community we have built. Yeah, I see genuinely. I go on streams. I see Eros everywhere. I see AJ everywhere. I see Why Not Boyton everywhere. Gavin is everywhere. I see all of you everywhere. Genuinely, it's kind of nuts to think about it. You're LFC always, AFC Vigilante, and everyone's all over the place. Left wing signing depth chart for me is Mitsoma, Williams, Rodrigo, the rest, Sane, Sterling. Like, for me, the shocking part is that you rate Williams higher than Rodrigo. Like, that for me is the biggest thing. But it's your chart, it's your opinion, and I totally respect that. For me personally, Rodrigo is best option for left wing. For me personally. Big up AJ, 18 likes, big up. If we can reach 20 by the end of the stream, that would be quite phenomenal, to say the least. If you haven't already, please do me a favor and smash the like button and subscribe if you're new around here. 600 on the way. I think Arsenal fans are way too in more with Partey. He's not even that good in midfield. You could argue that he has been the best midfielder we have had this season, to some extent. He was the best midfielder, at least in the first half of the season as well. He wasn't bad. He was very decent, very good. Let's be real. He managed to stay pretty much injury-free. One of the biggest issues about Partey this season is that his performances kinda are capped in terms of abilities solely because he has played about what 4, 5, 6 games as a right back, which really disrupts the rhythm. I would put it that way, because playing number 6 and a right back are genuinely like night and day, in my opinion. So that definitely has disrupted maybe some flow in the rhythm, and he needs to get adjusted to that. I get it; it's a professional footballer and all this stuff, but definitely not. I'm sorry, Nico Williams is nowhere near Rodrigo level. As for Mitoma, perfect squad player, not good. For me as well, Mitoma as a backup and Rodrigo as a starter would be fantastic, personally. For me, I wouldn't say no to that. But yeah, you are BX Gunner as well. He's also everywhere. Big up to you. Yeah, blessings to everyone. Big up to you all. Big up. Boris, respectfully, I completely disagree with that, but just like Sesko, if Nico Williams smashed, would admit that. Exactly. For me, I'm gonna say this right now. Everyone knows, at least who watches me, right? Everyone in the world who watches me knows that I want Gyökeres over Sesko. Everyone knows that I am Arteta out still, and I'm gonna be, unless he's gonna prove me wrong and win me Premier League or Champions League. Unless Sesko comes to Arsenal and proves me wrong and let's just say bangs in 19, 20 goals. Like, I'm all for being proved wrong. But so far, from what I've seen, what I've experienced, what I have researched at least in everything, right? 100% for me personally, not the ones. I'm all for being proven wrong. I'm gonna tell you that now. I'm not afraid to admit that I'm wrong. I'm not some entitled prick who will try to beat around the bush and move the goalposts. I can admit when I'm wrong. Partey has arguably been the best player this season, full stop, despite his right back minutes. To some extent, yeah. For me personally, Gabriel would be the player of the season. Personally. Gabriel would be if he didn't get injured. Up until that point, for me, he was the player of the season. Right? Not since he didn't play, cannot give him full judgment. He's in my top 3 100% in the player of the season. Partey is in top 4, top 5 100%. Despite Raya being a dumbass, since Arteta started making him play in the center circle, I would still put him up there. I would still put him up there because yes, he has had very shaky moments, but overall, some saves and everything he has made to keep us in games, to get us over the line, it's actually quite phenomenal. Let's just put it that way. Declan Rice is up there. Those are 4. Who's the 5th one I'm thinking about? Yuri and Timber. For me personally, knowing Yuri and Timber and everything, how he has gone through and what he has done, personally for me, Timber is the player of the season. And not just performances, also with the coming back from ACL, playing out of his skin with no substitutions pretty much every single game from bell to bell, putting in on average 7.58 out of 10 performances on consistent basis, pretty much. I would say Timber has been that good for us this season. I would definitely, my top 3 would be Gabriel, Timber, and Rice. I would say Rice. You know what's mad? I have top 5 players of the season. Everyone is a midfielder, defensive midfielder, or actually a defender / goalkeeper. None of the attackers. And isn't that saying much about our attack? Isn't that? Nah man, Partey way overrated. People just gassing Partey because they haven't seen a DM in a whole generation of footballers. Nah, Partey has been decent. He's been decent. I'm not gonna lie, he's been decent. I hope you're right, because for me, we have no midfield that can do what Partey does, and Zubimendi maybe one day, but 2 days not. But today is not that day. Yeah, that for me is the biggest thing. Apparently, Partey is staying, and I hope he stays. If he doesn't want to start, then Zubimendi. Like, even if Partey doesn't want to start, and he's a backup, and Zubimendi starts, I'm happy. Because Partey, compared to players we can sign, he actually is quality and proven. So that means also that he actually would do good when if he comes on and when his name is called upon. That actually would give us some solid depth in the midfield. For me, the biggest worry is if Zubimendi comes and Partey leaves, we're screwed because we need at least one more, if not two even midfielders still. I really hope Zubimendi talk is real. We'll see. Until he holds up the shirt, it's all speculation. Personally, that's the way I see it. Kind of agree with Dio on party time for an upgrade. No, I'm not saying there's no time for an upgrade. We need an upgrade or at least replacement, proper one for Partey. I'm not saying that he doesn't. The thing for me is the fact that he actually, at least this season, hasn't been that bad. He actually has been very, very good. He is in my top 5 players of the season for Arsenal this year. This season, 24-25 season. I'm not saying we don't need a replacement because we desperately do. Let's just say it as it is. Yeah, the question is Zubimendi that? I think Zubimendi is just as good as Vitinha. When I see it, I will believe it. Let's just put it that way. Because what Vitinha did against Arsenal and what he does for PSG, it's just phenomenal. Like, genuinely. I think on top of Sesko, Arsenal should add Watkins because of Premier League experience. I can see that. I can see that argument. Big up Kennedy, by the way. I can see that 100%. The thing is, though, who is starting? Because I don't see Sesko coming to be benched, and I don't see Watkins coming to be benched. That again is a different thing. We don't play 4-4-2, for example, where we can, or 4-1-2-1-2 diamond, where we can have 2 strikers. I feel like we buy Zubimendi and slide Partey into the Jorginho. We could, definitely could. I can see that. Gabriel's my player. Yeah, for me as well. For me, the biggest thing is if he didn't get injured, he most likely would be actually the player of the season for me. For the fact, up until that injury, he by default would be the player of the season for me because for last year and a half, almost 2, for me he's been phenomenal. Best of the 2 defenders, our center back. Right? So I would say he for me definitely would be up there. Yeah, sell Havertz 100%. Sell him, bin him, send him to Heathrow and send him back to... Can we do an exchange with bloody Bayer Leverkusen or something? Can we do an exchange? Havertz for, I don't know, Boniface and like 30 million? Something like that. Oh, big up, 579 subs. We are creeping there. Big up to you all. You are the ones who are subbing and who are liking the stream. And if you haven't already, please like the stream. Oh, we are on 20 likes. I actually don't follow the stats, by the way. When I stream, I never follow the view count, never follow the likes, and never follow the subs. Never ever. So it's weird. I know some people do, I don't. And it's quite nuts to see sometimes after the stream what has happened during it. Big up to you. And if you haven't already, please like the stream and subscribe as well. Big up, coach. What have I missed? Well, Marquinhos has gone to Cruzeiro. That is a devastating blow to Arsenal's right wing spot. What else? Gyökeres could go to Chelsea or maybe Juventus, most likely. According to reports, as you see on your screen, Andrea Berta is in full agreement with Mikel Arteta that Sesko should be the priority striker. We have been discussing that for the last 20 minutes and overall things. And yeah, something like that. Nothing too much for today. We're just talking about everything and discussing Andrea Berta in general. I would like... Exactly, I would too. Midfielders ain't my thing. I mean, I would have... Oh, Bowen? Yeah. I would take Bowen, definitely. We'll see Zubimendi in a better team this year, so he may... Yeah, he might. But then again, if he doesn't work out, I already see the excuses. Oh, he's coming to the best league in the world. He needs time to adjust. He needs time to learn the tactics. It's more physical. And all this stuff. Give them Havertz and 20 million for Simmons. Or give them just Havertz plus 20 million for Sesko if you want Sesko that badly. Just straight swap. Gabriel Magalhães was definitely the best player before he's... Yeah, for me, that 100% without shadow of a doubt. 100%. I would love Jared Bowen as the Saka backup in the... Yeah, I would too. 100%. Sneaky bin. I kind of like Sesko. He's big and strong. Could be a great signing. Only 21, but the thing is, we need about 5-6 more players on his profile to level out pool. Looking, that is the biggest thing. Like, even if we sign Sesko and all these guys, it's not enough. That is the biggest issue here. We need about 5-6 players overall. We need to get rid of about 4 or 5 players. And again, the biggest thing is, next season, it's gonna be a small squad once again. So it's again inevitable that we're gonna get injuries. Because after this season, and no backup still to the same players who got injured, it's gonna get even worse, arguably. That for me is the biggest worry. We have 23, well technically 25-man squad with Skelly and Ranieri, right? Sterling and Neto are leaving for free. Because loans. Jorginho and Tierney are leaving. That's 21 players left. Then you sell like 2-3. That's 18 players left. And to get even back to those 24, 25 players you had for this season, you need to sign about 6 or 7 players. Which Arsenal are never ever going to do. Because we don't operate in that way, unfortunately. But hey. Arteta will keep running this Havertz psyop till he gets some... Nah, it's insane. Signed. Yeah, exactly. Let him bloody go. For me, we need Sesko, Zubimendi, Rodrigo, Eze, Buemo, Mitchell. Then we would be ready for everything. So, striker. Havertz as a backup, I assume. Zubimendi, Rodrigo for the left wing. Eze, number 10 left wing. Buemo left wing, false 9, secondary striker, something like that. Mitchell for the left back, I can see that. I still believe we need backup for Saliba. I still believe that. Because that is for me the biggest worry. Saliba got injured 3 years ago against Sporting. And still to this day, we haven't had a replacement for him. Because it's pretty much evident Calafiori is a left back / left center back. Kivior is left center back / left back still. If we get rid of them and all this stuff, we're done. We need a left back. Okay, cool. People will say play Timber or play Ben White as a center back, which I totally get it. At the same time, what if they get injured? What if they need to be rotated mid-game? Who are we going to play as a center back? Are we going to put one of them as a center back and put Thomas Partey as a right back once again? Are we going to play Calafiori as a right back like we did against PSG for some time? Like, that for me is a big issue. Big issue. We'll sign Sesko only and say Ranieri is they're going to step up, but we need young gems that can rotate. We will have Calafiori, Sesko, Zubimendi as young up-and-coming players. We need 2 established. We need... It's all fine and dandy if you sign young players. I'm not against it. But you need a perfect mix of youth and experience. And I mean mentally, physically, winning experience. And unfortunately, we don't have that in the team. We literally have 3 players on our bench. The rest of them don't even come. Exactly. And half of them are defenders or left backs or goalkeepers and from the youth team, which never going to see the light of day. Saliba backup is easy. Brian Anderson from Fulham. Yeah, we should have signed him last summer when he went from Palace to Fulham. We should have done it then, but hey, it is what it is. Who would you buy that will be happy to be a backup to Saliba? Well, we had one, we sold him. I would take, actually, we have been linked with him before. I would take Ndika from Roma. I would take actually Joachim Andersen. I wouldn't be against even signing someone random, someone a bit older, maybe like a bit of a veteran type of like 32-year-old, just in case. Someone like that. I wouldn't be against it, because let's be real, Saliba, as long as he can crawl even, he's gonna play. That is the biggest thing. No matter what you want to say, no matter what you think, Arteta's philosophy is, if one of my best favorite players can even crawl onto the pitch, he's gonna play. And that's the end of that. You know my shortlist, it covers everything. Yeah, I do, 100%. Talking about young gems, did anyone see that Man United out of jail game today? Yeah, Chidobe Martin scored 2 goals against Hong Kong, which is quite annoying, but hey, it is what it is. We suck too. We do. Coach Jordan just named him Anderson from. And then we need mentality. We need winning mentality into the team. We technically have those type of players, but they are not it. Let's be real. Not Jesus, not Havertz, not what's that dumbass? Zinchenko. None of them. Let's be real. I would get Diomande, yes, because I think it's silly to look for a backup. I need a player that will threaten the Saliba spot. And to be honest, that is also the case. Think about it this way. If we don't win anything this summer, there's a big chance Saliba is gone next summer. And by then we should have a replacement in place already who can instantly step into his shoes. So actually signing someone who basically pushes Saliba to the limit, makes him step up and see what is what, would be actually some perfect scenario. Because if we don't start winning stuff, he's at Real Madrid in 2 years no matter what you want to do. So at the moment we need to start before the last year he's cheaper and all this stuff. Exactly, I like Diomande as well, great deal. Obviously Arsenal spun him around all over the place when we played them, so it is what it is. But hey, none of our players have inspiring personality, they all look to be inspired by someone else, and so it's like we do. Exactly. And then Mikel Arteta says, oh, the fans are at fault that we didn't win. Fans don't get behind the players. Well, give us something to get behind then. Give us a performance, give us a goal, give us something to get us welled up as well. Because watching these performances game in, game out, it's soul draining to say the least. But yeah, I guess it is what it is. But yeah, Skelly the only player with elite men. You could say that to some extent, and he is actually an 18-year-old. We have Havertz up front though, and he's anti-football. Yeah, just like Ben White, he doesn't watch football. He said it himself. He trains, he watches some tapes, he plays for Arsenal, that's it. He doesn't watch football outside Arsenal. That says a lot as well. But yeah, I think we have talked about everything today. We have discussed some stuff, shared opinions around, had a fun time. Skelly's a beast, yeah. He has that raw cockiness that inexperienced young players have, which you either lose it or you keep going and build up in arrogance, and a good arrogance in a good way, which you always back up with your performances. And Skelly, by the looks of things, could have that ability to make this elite beast mentality to grow into good type of arrogance, which he can back up his performances. And no wonder Real Madrid are looking at him, by the way. Timber too, yeah. Timber, though, he's been run into the ground. I'm even scared for his life next season, not gonna lie. But I think because if he gets an ACL or something like that once again, I think he's cooked instantly. But yeah, I think for today I'm gonna calling it quits. If you haven't already, and big up everyone, if you haven't, like the stream, subscribe if you're new, leave your thoughts down in comments below if you're watching this as a playback. Had a fun time, I'm not gonna lie, had a really, really fun time. Not sure what I'm gonna do today for tomorrow's stream, obviously, at the moment. We'll see what the news bring. At the same time, I uploaded a YouTube short today and a TikTok, Mr. Robo19 TV, also on TikTok. If you haven't, please go check it out, have a listen, leave a comment, leave a like and everything. Share it around if you wish, and all this stuff would be much appreciated. Who would you be afraid of fighting this team? They're marshmallows. Do a next season predictions. Too early. Way too early. Those things need to be done when you have the signings. I could do my reaction to Premier League predictions from the last summer before the season. Oh my god, that will be pain and a half if I do that. But hey, it is what it is. But yeah, might be in the pipeline. Might do it that for tomorrow because that could be actually fun. But yeah, for today, I'm signing off. Have a nice evening. Have a nice time. Relax, chill. Tomorrow's Saturday. You can sleep and everything. So take care. Stay safe. Enjoy your weekdays. Big up everyone. Big up Mike. Big up Coach. Big up Boyts and AJ, Eros, Coach Mike, Dean, AJ, BX Gunner. Big up yous who dropped by. Big up everyone. You have been quite big up. Why not? You've been phenomenal, fantastic. Take care. You are all legends, and I hope to see you tomorrow as well.